So we're going to connect the mixing desk to the front of house speakers, so we need to find the outputs on the rear of the master bus section. We have mix out left and mix out right. These correspond to the yellow faders on the mixing desk, and these are what we're going to use for the main outputs. Notice that they are male XLR connections, so that's what we need to use in order to take it through to the amps. So we take our XLR lead and connect it into the outputs. So the left channel and the right channel. So on the rear of the power amps that we need to use, because we're using passive front of house speakers, we've got two power amps. We use one for front of house, one for monitors. The top one is front of house, the bottom one we tend to use for monitors. So we're only really focusing on this top section. We have an input section over on the left hand side, and then we have our output section just to the centre of the amp. Notice we've got an XLR input as well as a jack input as well. Because we've used XLR outputs from the mixing desk, it makes sense to use the XLR inputs on the amp. So our left channel goes to number 1, and our right channel into input number 2. When connecting professional audio equipment in live sound, we'll come across speak-on cables. These are a dedicated cable for carrying a signal that we tend to use in live sound as standard. We use the speak-on output from the amp, and in this case we've got jack inputs on the speaker, so this particular cable goes to a TS at the other end, but you can have speak-on both ends depending on the equipment that you're using. So on the rear of the amp we've got output 1 and output 2. Output 1 we tend to use as left, output 2 we tend to use as right, and these are speak-on connections. So we take our speak-on lead, and it will only fit in one way, and we push it in and twist to lock it into position. On the rear of the full range speakers that we use for live sound, we've got two jack inputs. The reason we've got two is so that we can actually daisy chain the speakers together in mono if we wish to. We're going to keep them in stereo, so I'm going to go into my first input. We then connect up the right channel in exactly the same fashion.